had to, through battle, come together with some sense of a new thing that emerged. Right? Galileo, Copernicus, the forward movement of paradigm shifts in terms of the idea of what is science and what is nature and what is the order of the universe. Does the earth revolve around the sun? Does the sun revolve around the earth? And ultimately, whatever new idea is introduced in a context is automatically the what? The antithesis. But it's the trigger for the synthesis. Anybody with me so far? Okay, that's Hegel. Marx and others come after him in the century after him. Hegel's 18th century. In the early 19th century, you see the appearance of Karl Marx and them, who were known collectively as the young Hegelians, because what they did not challenge was the idea of contestation in the forward movement of history. Progress. Another concept that you see in the West. Progress. In other words, all this contestation ultimately resolves itself in syntheses that do what in terms of human history? Spur it on. Moving onward and upward. So the presumption is the past is always worse than the present. And the present and the future is always brighter. Generally speaking. And if there's a failure, it's a failure in the human systems. Maybe a dystopia. Or maybe like Malthus, right? Malthus argues that you can have too many people. If you have too many people, then at some point the system will collapse, but the thing will reset. And then it'll eventually make progress. Human beings might not be part of it, but what the hell? All right. For Hegel, this contestation is the contestation of ideas. Not just ideas, but feelings. Feelings and ideas that collectively he gives the German name, the word Geist. The Geist, or the spirit. With me so far? Some of y'all studied this. We studied the Geist before. Zeitgeist, Zeitgeist, the spirit of the times. It moves forward. History is the forward movement of ideas. He says the history of the world moves from east to west. We talked about that, right? It includes Egypt, but he includes Egypt as part of the east. He's an African part of this. They ain't got no ideas to contribute. This is in his philosophy of history. So we move forward very quickly. The young Hegelians believe that Hegel's idea of contestation is correct. However, Marx says, among others, but he's the most famous articulator of this, Marx said, you know what? It's not spirit, it's matter. Hence, historical materialism. The thesis, one of the central theses of Marxism, how many of y'all had to read the Communist Manifesto? That small document, Marx and Engels, right? So you know in Marx and Engels, what does he say? What do Marx and Engels say that history is the record of? It is the record of the contestation or the conflict between what? The C word. Classes. Right? And what are classes conflicting over? Ideas? Money, resources, material things. Historical materialism is the idea that you can trace the history of the world through the contestation of classes over matter, material things, and their proxy or marker. Is that helpful? So historical materialists would look to the people who say, well, let's look at how people's belief systems, just people made up God because they figured out a way to hustle. And if people believe in God, they could get other people to do what they say. Sweat. Go over there and build that in the name of God. So they look at the pyramids and say, that ain't nothing but a hustle. They made people believe in God, and that's how they got the pyramid built. That's what historical materialists would say. They said, what about God? What is God but man's imagination? Historical materialism is the conceptual premise that history is the record of the contestation of groups of people over material things, over matter. In other words, not ideas necessarily, but really over things, resources, scarcity, that kind of thing. So human institutions are designed for people to create the maximum exploitation of their material circumstances. Yes?
And what did Hegel say about spirit again?
Hegel's notion was that there is contestation, but that contestation is contestations of ideas and literally of spirit. Not just spirit in terms of people getting happy, but the ideas that animate human beings to move. Think of it as the difference between the politics of the mind, and to use the phrase that is often associated with Haiti, the politics of the belly. The politics of the mind is, it's very interesting. Let me sit back up there. The politics of the belly is, okay, what do I need to do to fill my belly tonight? In other words, what's the guy's name? Not Pavlov. Malinowski? Who does the hierarchy of needs? Maslow. Maslow's hierarchy of needs, clearly grounded in or used by the historical materialists. When do you start thinking about ideas according to Maslow? After you ate? After you comfortable? In other words, Marx is like, yeah, that's what drives everything. These ideas, whatever. Right with me so far? That's the basic premise behind historical materialism. We're going to get much more in depth with it and its various nuances, but generally speaking, think matter over spirit. That's what you think of the historical materialists. They think you can tell the whole history of the world in terms of who had what, when did they have it, who tried to dispossess them of it, who had nothing, and how did they contest over the range. And who in the classes of people who had things were down in the class structure and producing through their labor the stuff other people had. And how long was that clash going to continue? So ultimately, revolutions are about people who are powerless in a system like that saying, no longer will we be powerless. Historical materialists. A historical materialist would look at what happened Friday out there in front of the administration building and say, this ain't about Pride and Howard. Hegel would say, this is about a zeitgeist. It's the spirit of the times. These students are, they're feeling something that has been informed by the ideas that they must contest. Hegel's like, whatever, they ain't been validated. I'm a historical materialist. All that high sounding, yeah, power, Howard, yeah, that's all great. This is about not validation, and they don't think it'll be a good job with that degree, and this is all about class warfare. All that other stuff is sentiment. And you can see the appeal of Marxism to people. It's big. Because what Marx would say, okay, if you gave them, got them all validated, and gave them $1,000 over all their expenses, they would go right in that A building and oppress the next group that stood out there and said they too wanted to be validated. Yes, sir. Say again? Surrealism goes beyond. Surrealism is inconvenient. Surrealism, let's write that up. Surrealism Hegel would recognize surrealism. Marx would probably dismiss it. But surrealism, or the idea that you can imagine a world that transcends all these mundane boundaries, the marvelous world. That's a world of ideas that also says there's a material reality. A surrealist would come out on Friday and say, you know what, this is all great. Protesting. Or we could just say nobody going to class no more, and I'll give you a degree based on what I think you should. Let's all walk these steps. Huh? Why are you honoring that institution in the first place? Who the hell said they make you smart because you're Howard? In fact, let's drop the name Howard and call it all Flower. You crazy. No, I'm surrealist. In other words, my reality is generated from within and from community with others who agree with me, and you ain't got to agree with me. But one thing we're going to stop doing is honor institutions that oppress us. Why are we giving them our power? Because ultimately the power is yours to give. Why do you continue to concede to these steps some authority? In fact, you say that you're waiting to be validated. That, to a surrealist, would be absurd. Surreal. This is surreal. You're waiting to be validated? I'm sorry, did you come out of a womb? Yes, you're valid. Oh, you mean you're waiting for a computer system to recognize you? That's a very different thing. We shouldn't call it valid. We should call it recognized by the system or something. But when you put it that way, it starts sounding crazy, doesn't it? A surrealist, in other words, what a surrealist does is pose a reality that is so alien to you that you begin to look at the one you're in like, why am I agreeing to this one? They try to imagine a world that never was ever in the whole reality of time. Prince, in some ways, a surrealist. Archie Shepp, John Coltrane, listen, you surreal. I'm going to play this horn in such a way I never heard it before. And when I started listening to you, after I stopped, and then the music went off, I looked around like, damn, the whole world changed. I can't never go back to this. Yes, sir.
What did you say about that black Marxism?
Yes.
And like the music press? It's like being in this world of materialism, but going and trying to get towards a surrealist area.
This is the challenge. This is a central challenge of black Marxism. Robinson is grappling with Marx. But what does Robin Kelly say in his introduction? Is this book about Marxism? No. This book is about imagining